Welcome to another episode of the Daily Chat Podcast. We talk about all things awesome and nerdy. It is movie review time, guys. And coming back to the podcast, as always, when I review movies, it seems like, is Dan Tundis. Dan, hey.
Haha.
Haha.
You know, there's a lot of great movies out right now, and we did not see one. we could have.
Did we not see one, or did we not see one?
We did not see one. Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody's out. Girl in the Spider's Web. Although that's probably not a good movie.
I don't want to see that movie. I saw the first one and I was like, nope.
Yeah, no, that's all right. What are they on their fourth one now?
I have no idea.
Yeah, anyways, we saw Overlord.
Yeah, we saw Overlord, which the basic synopsis of this movie is World War II platoon is trying to take down a radio tower in Nazi-occupied France to help on the D-Day invasion. And then the D-Day invasion starts happening. Plane gets shot down because they always get shot down at the beginning of movies. Oh yeah, spoilers.
Well, it wasn't the D-Day invasion where the plane got shot down. It was the night before.
It was the night before.
When they airdropped in like the 101st to, pretty much do sabotage missions to help the D-Day landings go more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Successfully.
Either way, the bottom line is find out that, this one little village in France is actually
filled with Nazi scientists that are creating Nazi super soldiers that are Nazi zombies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, pretty much. The synopsis is World War II Nazi zombies. Sit down, watch.
Yeah.
There's really not much more. It's pretty boilerplate.
Yeah.
The whole movie it felt like really boilerplate. Like I kind of got like the formula
like right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
Very few surprises.
Yeah.
Like the most suspenseful parts were just trying to figure out like which of the main characters were going to make it to the end.
Yeah.
And you were pretty much already convinced on the ones that you definitely knew weren't going to make it to the end. The ones that were on the one-way trip, We always knew I wasn't getting out of here,
exactly.
type of thing. So it was,
it was a movie.
It was a movie, yeah. It was a movie. I will say, like, so I feel like that covers off on the synopsis pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think those of us that were expecting Wolfenstein the movie,
right, we did not get it.
We did not get that.
No, and I was expecting Wolfenstein the movie.
Right, and it was very much like it felt like a combination of a couple of different ideas for a movie, or movies that have already been, or comic books that have already been. I mean, this is a topic that's been done to death.
It's kind of just reminding me of
every Call of Duty game has a Nazi zombie level.
I was actually just thinking that this just reminds me of the running joke in South Park: The Stick of Truth. Why did it have to be Nazi zombies? They're just so overused.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were like, it felt like there was a little piece of Wolfenstein thrown in there. There was a little piece of
Saving Private Ryan thrown in there.
Like the Band of Brothers thrown in there, which is the same producing team. A little bit of American Vampire by Zack Snyder. I think that's an Image comic, or maybe it's Dark Horse. I don't know. I've got it on my shelf. I'm about to pull it out for reference. So there was like a couple of different ideas that were like thrown together and stirred up in a pot and then dumped out. And it just felt like, I mean, we had this conversation walking back. Like, I had issues with the pacing of it. Like, I think that the first 20 minutes of the movie, like, in the plane, getting shot up, like, jumping out.
I thought that was fun, actually.
It was really fun. It was really suspenseful, and it kind of, like, got me, like, very involved in the film at that point. I was like, all right, like boom, here we go. And even the scene, like, of them, like, walking through the forest behind enemy lines, trying not to be found and spotted, and, like, picking up other scrounging, other soldiers along the way was cool. But then, like, as soon as we hit the town,
right,
and, like, got introduced to our female character and, like, her little brother, and it just kind of, like, it really lingered at that point.
For the most part, yeah. Like,
it was about an hour that film.
There were certain parts of that where they. I'm not 100% sure if it was necessary, 100% necessary, but, like, it happened anyway. Like, the whole scene where they kind of introduced the idea that the German commanding officer has that just used the word raped Chloe on more than one occasion.
Oh yeah.
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 Like, it was one of those things where, like, why did it have to do that? Like,
I mean, you don't have to do much to convince me that Nazis are bastards.
no, exactly.
Like, we pretty much get it already, and we know how terrible.
I mean, it's in the word.
Yeah.
It's the name alone.
Yeah,
right?
Nazi bastards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like we get it that they're awful people, and I guess it just helps really reinforce that these, first of all, they're Nazis. Second of all, in this fictional setting, they're experimenting on the town folks and turning them into
exactly.
absolute abominations of
Nature.
Science.
And nature and
science
science.
and nature, or
God,
whatever.
even if
Yeah,
you will.
and then throw on top of that, oh, by the way, they raped the women of the town, and you're like, okay, like,
yeah, I kind of figured that was. I kind of think that's par for the course at this point.
you're putting a hat on a hat.
Exactly.
Is what you're doing. You're putting a hat on a hat.
Exactly.
Yes, Nazis are bad.
I mean, I guess the only way I would have handled that scene better is if just like, hey, routine inspection. You know what
That's
I mean?
like what it started out as, and then it kind of like it did like very much dip into that like.
Yeah.
Oh, we're even worse. I mean, it did just, if nothing else, it just served as a way to further the plot.
Yeah.
Like, because they ended up capturing that raping Nazi bastard.
Right, exactly.
And, like, kind of beating the crap out of him and torturing him from information. And it didn't really work.
No,
he
not
didn't
at
really
all.
give up anything.
Yeah, it's just like, there's 40 men in the base. Okay.
Yeah, and we revolved about 40 minutes of the movie on, like, beating up this guy in the attic.
Right.
And no one heard.
Right, exactly.
Like in
a town that's completely and utterly dead silent, where you can hear a pin drop in the town square.
Where everyone is so terrified of the Nazis that they literally rat on each other. There was that scene like 10 minutes prior to that where the woman was pretty much just like,
Hey, sweet little innocent girl that lives next door to me. Yeah, you're out past curfew. I'm calling the cops.
Yeah,
I'm calling the Gestapo.
Yeah, she pretty much used. I mean, she was lying, but she pretty much used the excuse. She was like, yeah, I was like taking out the garbage. Like, no, that's a Nazi calling offense right there.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
taking out the garbage.
Just being out past bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was bedtime. That was, no.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, there's, like, I don't know, I feel like we're jumping way too quickly into the harshness of this movie. Should we talk about maybe some of the things that we liked about the movie first, and then get into it?
I liked the credits. I know that sounds really, really lame and really dumb, but they did, like, from a graphic standpoint and from someone who appreciates, a nice bit of typography, like, they did this whole, like, 1940s newsreel, welcome to the war, buy war bonds today. Let's help kick Jerry all the way back to Berlin. Like, they, like this whole, like, like the opening font at the beginning was, like, really cool, and it, like, and I gotta say, like, the way that they did the intro, like, newsreel kind of set up for it was super strong, and it really was, like, very captivating. And furthering that on, like, the audio intro, one thing that I really loved about this was the sound design and sound mixing of this movie.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and by the way, just so you know, because we were talking about it earlier, now I understand why I recognized the corporal who played, the corporal, what's his face, Corporal Ford. Yeah, I thought he looked familiar. That was Wyatt Russell, as in Kurt Russell's son. So he looked like Kurt the whole time. He was like, that looks like Kurt Russell. Now I understand why he looks like Kurt Russell.
So Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
Relationship goals. I love Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They're my favorites. But yeah, I what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Audio. Yeah. So that.
Yeah, the audio.
That being Wyatt Russell, that being Kurt Russell's son, really enforces my whole, like, because I was saying this, like, the scene from The Thing, where it was like, Charles wants the flamethrower. Like, what are you talking about? Like, never mind, he wants the flamethrower. Now get off your ass. Like, that because that, as we know, because these things, like, they weren't necessarily, like, zombies. Like, I don't think that they...
I mean, they started off dead, and then the doctor, like...
But not all of them have to be dead. And I always constitute zombies as, like, if they bite you and you turn into one, they're a zombie, right? Mm-hmm. That's my only umbrella that they have to fall. Like the things from 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, infected, not zombies. I mean, if they bite you, you can turn, but, like, you can also be affected by just, like, getting blood in your eye.
Right.
Like, so not necessarily has to be transmitted by a bite.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like in most lore I've seen, like, if a zombie gets its DNA in and on you in any way, shape, or form, you become a zombie. That's the way I've
The
seen it.
Walking Dead plays pretty fast and loose with
The
this.
Walking Dead, but I mean, like, iZombie, that's kind of how they do it, too. And yes, I watch iZombie. You're looking at me with a weird face. I don't care. Not really. But I mean, like, does anybody even watch The Walking Dead anymore?
There's got to be a few people out there.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all in Georgia.
Yeah, probably.
Just because that's where they filmed the show,
Yeah.
and like that's where like all the extras and cast and crew are. So like that's probably
Yeah.
the only viewership that they have.
Well, they're making a movie apparently, so
Yeah, of course they are. I think they signed like a 3-movie deal with the actor.
it's really gonna be 3 movies.
This is what I hear. This is what I hear. But it's definitely one of those things that, I mean, it's, you know, if the first one bombs, then they won't do any more.
Exactly. So at any rate, about the movie Overlord, because we ain't talking about The Walking Dead, even though we
No, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that is a whole nother podcast.
And not this one.
No.
Or at least not episodes that I'm going to be on.
Exactly.
Because I don't watch that show.
I haven't watched that show in like 5 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. At any rate, so we were talking about, there were certain things about this movie. The sound design of this movie, actually. Did we start talking about that? This movie was
No,
loud.
I was going to start talking about it. But like, yeah, I mentioned that I really did like it. And I think that the sound was great.
It was loud. This movie was loud.
It was loud, but it was very well mixed.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's always like one thing about like war movies and just kind of like guns in general is that like guns fire and they don't have that like resonance.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever fired a gun in real life, like have you ever shot a gun?
No.
Okay. When you fire a gun in real life, it's not like in video games how it's just like crack, crack, pew, pew. Like,
Yeah.
no, like it cracks.
Yeah.
And like rings. Like there's a resonance to it. Like that sound hangs around. It lingers. Like it's a big noise.
Right.
And that's like what this, especially like the munitions in this period, like the M1 Garand. Like I fired an M1 Garand. That thing's fucking loud.
I bet.
It's fucking loud. Like
Yeah.
and
that wonderful little bell when you run out of a clip.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. There was like I remember like watching this whole like myth debunked things of like you know, German soldiers in World War II used to like wait to hear the pings out
Yeah,
of the
I've heard
M1
that,
Garand. Yeah, that's bullshit. You absolutely cannot hear that.
Yeah, no.
You absolutely cannot hear that. Like
More or less, I don't think you're even waiting to hear that, you know?
well, that was like the myth was that they would like wait for soldiers to be like reloading and like hear the ping to like return fire or like, you know that they had an opening to, you know, cross cover whatever it was. And it's like no, especially if you had like 30 of those things firing all at once. Like
Yeah, exactly.
you'd never hear that. Like
Exactly.
maybe in a couple situations you would on like really still nights and open air environments, like maybe. I freaking doubt it because it comes like immediately after a gunshot. So it's
Right,
like
exactly.
distinguishing between the two. I think you're more likely to get lucky.
Right.
You're better off like counting how many bullets are in a clip.
Right,
than
exactly.
You are like
Exactly.
magazine. Actually, they're magazines. Yeah, no, the sound design for this was great, and it made like those big action scenes feel bigger.
That opening scene when the plane was actually crashing and they were jumping out.
That was nuts.
Actually,
That was like teeth rattling.
yeah, it was actually.
That was nuts.
It was legitimately teeth rattling, and like I was actually like, "Oh my god, are they gonna make it?" And like you actually, like the funny thing is too, like we kind of did this thing where we didn't check to see the ratings before this movie came in, and like very quickly, like we realized, oh no, this is R-rated.
Oh yeah, it was a hard R.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
yeah.
hard
There was
R.
blood and guts everywhere,
All over the place.
Yeah, which you know me, I was down for that.
Yeah.
I'm always down for that stuff in movies. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, like I was, you seen like a bunch of people like getting their legs blown off and everything like that.
Oh yeah. It was.
Yeah. It was just nuts. Yeah.
You know so this movie was not directed by J.J. Abrams, but it was produced by his
Right.
Bad Robot production company.
Right.
And the sound design is actually where I feel like I felt that presence the most. Like the way that it was put together. Like there were a couple of things, like the graphic treatments for one were one where I was like, okay, like somebody really spent a lot of time and energy like putting this together to look really nice. But then the sound design was really where the sound design and mixing was where I felt like they got that extra help from Bad Robot as a company to like really put some like a clean shine on it, because it was probably the most impressive part of the movie.
Probably,
for me.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it wasn't a bad movie by any extent of the imagination. I just think from a narrative standpoint, like it felt a little formulaic.
Yeah, kind of.
And the whole, you know, end of the first act, second act completely just felt really, really dry. Like we just had we talked about this. We had the beat 'em up torture scene up in the attic that nobody heard.
Somehow.
Nobody heard. Yeah, they're like beating the crap out of this dude for literally like 4 hours. They even tell you how much time.
It was like 40 minutes.
They even told you how much time elapsed. Like they were like, "Oh, we got 7 hours to blow up the tower," and then they spent the next 4 hours with this Nazi tied up in the attic.
It's like, why would you spend that much time torturing the Nazi? Like, I understand you want information.
Just get to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then we had our main character for this. I think Boys.
Yeah, Boys was his name.
Yeah, who pretty much just kind of that guy. Like
he failed up the whole time.
He did. He stumbled ass backwards through the movie. Like he was like, "Oh no, I'm being chased, and now I've found myself in a Nazi lab, and I found my friend who was sitting next to me on the plane, and oh no, they're doing experiments. I'm gonna steal the vial, so that way we can see what this does later on." Like he very much like the fact that guy, which is kind of refreshing, and I'll give it credit that like it was
normally it's like the badass.
Yeah, it was nice not to follow like the badass character who was Wyatt Russell around for the entire movie, where he just like, you know,
he just always had a chip on his shoulder.
He's just lobbing grenades and just saying dope shit, you know.
Like he woke up in the morning, drinks his coffee, takes a piss, then beats the shit out of Nazis.
Yeah, like that's it. Yeah, that's his whole life. Right? Yeah, brushes his teeth with barbed wire.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
killed a bear and had it for dinner. Like,
right.
You know,
dinner. He had it for breakfast. You kidding me? Yeah, but that was just the big thing I will have to say about this movie is, other than maybe Boys, like a lot of these characters felt kind of sort of on the one-dimensional side of things.
It's amazing that we had a 2-hour-long movie with only with pretty much only 6 characters in it. I mean, there were other people in it, but
there were 6 characters,
and we got any kind of background in depth for one, kinda,
yeah. It's like, oh yeah, Boys was all like, yeah, I grew up blah 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 blah
on the Mississippi Delta, and my mom taught me France, and I'm kind of a sensitive guy, and like 3 months ago I was mowing my lawn.
And like, I saved a mouse from getting killed by my buddies, and then it ends up being, you know, mouse comes back, poops all over my CO's pillow, and then we had to run uphill 10 miles both ways, blah blah blah.
Yeah, you see, that was like, I always thought that was a really bad example of like, because they told that story to like belittle him and be like, you can't cut it, you're not a real soldier. And it's like, no, not killing small woodland creatures is not what makes you a soldier. Yeah. It's what proves you're not a psychopath.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, oh wow, you have emotion and empathy, so you mean you're a person? Like,
right, exactly. But you're not a soldier if you're a person. Like, no, that's not
supposed to do. Like, eat it live? Like, right. No, that's not a normal thing to do.
Just bite its head off. Like,
that's not a normal thing to do. That's not how you prove that you're a good soldier. You prove you're a good soldier by following orders and doing the job in front of you.
Exactly.
Like, I assume I was not a soldier, but
exactly. I mean, there's always that fact that what do you call it? There's always the dilemma that they have, which I guess I'm assuming I've never been in combat zone, so I can't say anything. But you know, there's always we got to do the morally right thing, but the mission comes first. And it's like, no, the mission comes first, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I felt like there's a scene in the movie where like the little kid gets captured because they have a little kid in the movie, and they have Nazis in the movie. So, of course, the little kid has to get captured by the Nazis.
Right. It's a tale as old as time.
Exactly. Nazis and the boy.
We've been here before.
Exactly. But, you know, it's just like he's like, boys are like, we gotta save the little kids. Like, no, you gotta blow up the fucking tower. Like,
well, so he had a point in that.
He did have a point.
And the point was not just that, like, we needed to, like, get the little boy back, but it was that we need to also blow up the super secret Nazi science laboratory that's creating super soldier serums that's going to make, like, unbeatable, you know, zombie Nazis. Like,
yeah,
there's, you know, we got to do that also. In addition,
that I'm okay with. I was okay with.
Yeah, this is it was very much not like an or situation, it was an and situation, you know, so it was like, we gotta blow up the radio tower and blow up the science lab. Bonus, we saved the little kid.
Right, which was actually literally said.
But the fact that they had to, like, justify blowing up the lab
that's
because they had to save the little kid was like, yeah, kinda, sorta, but it was a very roundabout way of getting there. You know, it was like, we don't have to save the kid. I mean, you should.
Yeah, you should.
You absolutely should.
Yeah.
You know, like, you should feel morally obligated, but, like, have to, that's a stretch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, so I agree. It was, you know,
And why is it like in World War II movies, there's always like the one guy that's kind of sort of like the dumbass? There's always the one dumbass in the platoon.
All of our characters for this fit very nice and neatly into very stereotypical boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we have the grizzled war vet. We have the, like, kind of sensitive, not sure if he's really a soldier kind of guy who ends up proving himself in the end.
Yeah.
We've got the, I'm from Brooklyn, and if you get me within 300 yards of Adolf Hitler, boom, we're all going home.
I'm fucking cocky.
He even says that.
Yeah, exactly.
He even says that. And then
somebody always says, I'm going to kill Hitler when we go home. Like,
right.
in all these movies.
Yeah, and then you got, like, the dopey Midwestern,
slack jaw. Well, I don't
tag
say
along.
slack jaw.
Yeah, it wasn't. But tag along. And then you got like the one guy who's just like, we're gonna be friends forever, and I can't wait to get home and tell my sweetheart about all you guys.
And as soon as they say sweetheart, or I can't wait to tell my mom, like, oh,
yeah.
So you're gonna step on a landmine, right?
And he did.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Which was amazing, because as soon as he was like giving that dialogue, I was like, oh, he's gonna die. And I was like, oh wow, he's dead.
Yeah, okay.
All right, yeah, we're not.
It was kind of along the lines.
That was still at the point of the movie where I felt like, wow, we're not wasting time. We're getting right to it. All right, here we go.
And then
buckle up. And then 15 minutes later, I was like, I never do this, but I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you actually have to go to the bathroom in a movie. Like,
I never do that. I will sit and like risk a UTI. Like, right. I hate doing that. Like, because I hate it when people do it, and I just feel like it's very rude. It bothers me to my core. Mm-hmm. But I was just sitting there, and we got to a point in the movie where I was like, okay, I know it. Like, I'm like watching the scene build out, and I'm like, all right, as soon as we hit this cut, I know that the next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna go back to the house and explain the plot to the other people that weren't around to see it. So I got up, went to the bathroom, came back. And I pretty much came back at exactly that scene. So as soon as I came back and sat down, I was like, oh, okay, I don't even have to ask, like, what I missed. I know.
Exactly it was kind of... That is the one problem I will say about this movie is, like...
I was going for, like, 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I sprinted.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, I will say that, though, that the movie, it was definitely formulaic, but, like, at the very least, it followed the formulas correctly. You can give it that. Yeah,
it wasn't unenjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, we watched another movie earlier this summer that followed a plot, that followed a formula to a T. Predators.
Yeah, the
Predator. Whatever.
The Predator.
However many Predator there were.
The newest one.
Not.
The one with Olivia Munn.
Yeah, the newest one. And that movie sucked.
Yeah.
I would not go so far as to say this movie sucked. This movie did not suck.
No.
This movie was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It just didn't offer much.
Right.
That was new, at least. I will say, like, what it did well. Was it new? No. Was I surprised at all? Unfortunately not. Did I enjoy myself? Yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, at least. I mean, to be fair, though, like, there weren't a whole lot of them, but at least when they got to action scenes, the action scenes were brutal.
They were big.
Yeah.
They were big, and they felt big.
Yeah.
And, like, everything about the movie that they did a really good job at.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was costumed really well. It was, like, set design was great. Like, the Nazi lab, like, felt, like, really pressy, and like as far as like cinematography, when the main character Boys is like sneaking around, like you could feel that tension. Like they did a really good job, like making you feel really uncomfortable with the whole situation and scenario. My only problem with the whole second act was that it felt like we wasted a lot of time. Like it's funny because it was one of those movies where I feel like we could have cut 15 minutes out easy.
Yeah,
easy. We could have cut 15 minutes out. Or we could have added 15 minutes back in somewhere to
flush things out.
To flush things out, but to like have it pace out a little bit more evenly. Because it was like really high at the beginning, hit a very low, very high towards the third act, and then that epilogue scene was just, I don't know, it felt so empty to me.
Yeah, it just felt kind of rushed.
It was, it's funny because like the scene where he like comes and like we'll get right into the spoilers at the very end of the movie here. So they go back. We talked about how they were going to like save the kid. They go back to like blow up the lab and the radio tower. They made that concession because they had to. We get some nice zombie fights. There's flamethrowers where zombies are burned because that's the only way to kill them is you kill them with fire.
Well, yeah, it's fucking fire. It kills everything.
And we just like... So our main character, Boys, Wyatt Russell, of course, like he's our grizzled war vet, so he sacrifices himself to blow up the rest of the Nazi zombies so that way they don't escape and wreak havoc on France. And he kind of like, John Boyes like stumbles in afterwards, like lone survivor type deal. There are actually a couple other survivors, Army buddies survive. The dude from Brooklyn who got shot through the chest but was fine.
He got shot in the back, I thought.
He got shot in the back with a rifle at like 30 yards. Yeah. He got shot through the back into the chest and out.
True.
Like,
that's true.
I would say, I mean, if it's, I don't know anything about ballistics, but if it was a Full Metal Jacket and that thing went through and through, like, clean and clear, like, that dude got lucky as shit.
Yeah.
Because it looked like, where it hit him in the back, it hit him in, like, the back left shoulder blade. Like, that thing should have hit his heart.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If that thing did, I was like, oh, shit, he died.
Yeah,
I wasn't surprised that he died. I figured someone was going to die.
Yeah.
He lived. And then we also got our, like, stereotypical, Jewish kid,
because it's a World War II movie. You can't have somebody who's not a Jewish fighter,
right? Yeah,
I mean it's been like that ever since at least Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah. He survived. He was strangely fine.
Yeah,
after being captured and experimented on.
Yeah, with a fucking hose stuck to his abdomen.
And I was trying to figure out, like, I'm gonna get back to the epilogue in a second, but like the experiments that they were doing, so they kind of like broke it down. There was like half the townspeople and soldiers that they captured, they were experimenting on, right? They were like fucking with their genetic code and like turning them into these. It felt like kind of like Resident Evil. They felt like the monsters from Resident Evil. Like they're grotesque and tumors and super strong. Like it felt like that. And then like the other half, it looked like they were like pulling like blood and resources from, which is what I assumed they were doing with the Jewish soldier. That's what I assumed they were doing with him because he was fine. He was not infected. He just looked really pale.
Yeah.
It looked like he lost a lot of blood.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, he's like, "Oh no, I'm ready to shoot Nazis." Like,
oh yeah, no, he had an orange juice and a cookie, and he's back at it.
Exactly.
Like, I've donated enough blood to know that after an orange juice and a cookie, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Sure.
Yeah. You are exhausted for the rest of the day, and that's if they only take a pint. Yeah. Look like that dude. They like pretty much like half emptied it.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the extinguination? When you bleed out?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's extinguination.
I was just bleeding out. So, but whatever.
Extinguination.
I do not know anything. I am not a medical man, so what do I know?
Yeah, I also don't know anything about ballistics, and I also am not a soldier.
I am not a ballistologist, but I play one on TV.
There's a lot of things that we're just speculating on as shitty, nerdy movie fans.
Right, exactly.
Who are just going to sit here and critique the shit out of this movie.
Right.
But yeah, that epilogue scene, I feel like we didn't need to go there, where like Boyes, our main character, is like reporting to his CO and like everything that's like going on. Like I really feel like we didn't need that scene. Like I feel like we could have ended it earlier, like after he walks out and the church is bombed, he comes, he like sits down and relax, and it would have been like kind of a cut to black kind of a thing.
Right.
Like, I don't think we needed it, but they just had to do that like jib shot away. Wide shot from
right.
Like
just
bird's eye view, and they were like, and that's how we won D-Day. It's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like they also had to cover up the fact that there wasn't a lab because Wyatt Russell said even our side shouldn't have this. Which to be fair, yes.
Oh no, to be fair,
I do agree with that, but at the same time, it's just like, dude, 5 minutes ago you were like, yeah, no, we don't. Well, then again, he didn't see the lab, so then again. I was going to say, because before he was like, yeah, no, we just need to take out the tower and let the U.S. Army handle this lab. And then it's like, yeah, no, like, you got to get rid of the lab.
Yeah. And he was correct. Like, no one should know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
Exactly.
No. I know enough about us.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been bad. That would have been bad.
No, that would have been horrific.
Yeah, this whole movie was like, what would have happened if Captain America was actually just a horror movie?
Right.
We even got like a Red Skull character.
We did actually. Like the Nazi leader guy.
The captain.
After his face got
shot.
Gruppencotton. Which, first off, dude,
he ate a bullet. He legit ate a bullet.
He legit ate a bullet. Like, ripped off half his fucking face.
Yeah, it's hard to he ate a bullet.
Yeah, that was intense. But
isn't it amazing how well our soldiers used to shoot in World War II? Like, 4 guys just obliterated, like, 60 Nazis. And, like, I never once heard anyone be like, I'm low on ammo.
Right.
Konami
code.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Konami code.
Oh, yeah. Like, we apparently...
Down, up. Left, right, A, B, start selection.
I don't know if it's still like this in the armed services. Maybe it is, but I don't think we missed a single shot.
Nope.
Not one.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. It's kind of funny though because I was watching it and there's that one scene right before Brooklyn guy, I can't remember his name, gets shot in the back.
Doesn't matter. Brooklyn guy is fine.
Yeah, exactly. The Brooklyn guy and Jewish kid, which just sounds like an awful like Beastie Boys song.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
Yeah, they're hiding behind like this little wall that's like comes up to their fucking ankles, and the Nazis can't shoot them. Like, what? Did you learn to get shot to shoot by stormtroopers? Oh, wait a minute.
This is how we got there. Yeah, this is how. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because the rebels didn't miss many shots either.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
no. But it's just like dude, seriously, like there's like 6 Nazis and 2 of them with like one wall with like one like house covering their east flank. Their south flank, they got like that ankle high wall, and their left flank, their west flank is completely open.
With a big alleyway.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you can't just send 2 guys around to like flank them. Like,
I know.
No wonder we won the war. Goddamn it!
It's amazing. It's. I mean, incredible.
Incredible. It's also amazing how we were able to bury all those Nazi labs. Like, I mean, because this movie was historically accurate, correct?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this movie was historically accurate. Like if you were listening to your drunk grandfather who watched too many science fiction movies. Like, and that's how we beat Hitler's Frankenstein. We teamed up with Abbott and Costello.
The Marx Brothers were there too. Like,
Lon Chaney, the Wolfman, helped out. He was on our side. Not many people know this.
Which, by the way, this is the most articulate drunk grandfather ever.
I mean, they could hold their liquor.
They could hold their liquor.
And it's also because they drank beer that was like 3% alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
You know, the beer wasn't very strong.
No. Thank God for modern advancements.
Yeah, whiskey was, though. That shit made you blind.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure at that point it's just called moonshine.
Yeah, well, it's both.
Exactly.
It's bathtub hooch.
Bathtub hooch, bathtub gin.
It just is what it is.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is, but it'll get you there.
Right. So, I mean, what else is there to say about this movie? Like, what would you say were like the bigger shortcomings of this movie, if we haven't already tackled it?
I mean, I think it was just for me. It was just like there was a bit of a pacing issue, which was okay, and I think you could kind of get over it. But I definitely like.
I'll give it credit.
You know when there's a part in the movie where you're sitting there and you're like, "What do I have in the fridge for dinner?" You know, like you know that the movie's not completely like catching up with you.
Yeah.
Like I think the best example of that, like on the other side of that of a movie where I just like completely lost sense of like space and time was like when I saw Mad Max in theaters.
Yeah.
Like I remember sitting down and like watching Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
And like at some point in the movie, like when things got to like just like a pause break, you know, like when things kind of like calmed down, is like when they were in the desert with the old woman. I was just like, I have no idea how long I've been sitting here.
Right.
You know, like I had lost all sense of like space and time. Where this one kind of didn't have it. And then I think it was just, you know, it was you know, paint by numbers Nazi zombie movie. I mean, I'm glad that we got it because I feel like there is a certain shortcoming of like Nazi zombie movies that are good, not that they don't exist because they do.
Well, have you ever seen Dead Snow?
Yes, I have. Again, not great.
It's entertaining.
It's entertaining.
It's so bad, it's good.
And the second one is
they made a second one?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I gotta see this.
It has like the communist soldiers in the second one, like.
Yes.
Yeah. Dead Snow. I think it's like Red Snow or something like that.
Dead Snow, Red Snow.
I don't know. Dead Snow 2. Let's look it up.
Yeah.
Dead Snow 2. Red versus Dead. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fucking stupid. I'm gonna have to watch it.
Kyle, what do I say all the time?
Which one sees the power of sees the means of what was it?
Sees the means of mass production.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's what I say all the time.
Down with the bourgeoisie.
Down with the bourgeoisie. But I think so. Yeah, it had a little bit of a pacing problem, which I don't think was. It wasn't bad, but I mean, it was like the one thing that I would say about this movie that I just was like, ugh, all right, come on, let's just get on with it. I think it was just because I was like, we were just all dancing around the fact that there were like Nazi zombies in that compound, and like we, the audience, knew there were Nazi zombies in that compound. Yeah, because it's what they showed in the trailer,
right?
And like we knew what we were getting into, so you were just kind of like,
"Can we get to this?
Like, let's go."
It's kind of like
I was like doing the bender, like, "Let's go already!"
Yeah. Fine, I'll make my own Nazi zombie movie with blackjack and hookers.
And then so that I thought was like just kind of like the pacing was a little weak, and yeah, it was just kind of I knew where it was going. Like I knew we were gonna get the eventual like big bad Nazi zombie showdown with like one Nazi zombie and then one American zombie dueling it out, and we got that. And I mean, it was good. It wasn't a bad movie. Like I can't say that it was a bad movie. I can't say that I wasn't entertained. I was entertained.
Yeah. The one thing I am going to say I do like about this movie is that it's not setting up for a sequel, believe it or not. I'm fine with it.
It's funny because I was also talking about this. It's not setting up for a sequel. That's cool. I was a little okay. So one thing, and back to like the Jewish soldier character. One thing that I was kind of miffed on because I was expecting this because I thought we were following a formula. I thought we were like going to get to the end of the movie and like find out that like Jewish soldier was like actually infected and like he was like super strong and like. That would have been like a good twist. I was expecting. I mean, it's kind of a horror action movie, so I was expecting a twist at the end, and I never got it.
Just set up for a sequel.
And I never. But I mean, it's just kind of a classic thing that you do in horror movies. Like the hand comes up at the last second. You know what I mean? Like whether you get a sequel or not, most of the time you do. But like whether you get a sequel or not, like there is just like that little like haha, not dead yet.
Just a way to just enough.
The Reich is coming back. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and so I was expecting that, and I didn't get it, and that was a little weird. And the other thing that we never got, I mean, we got it from like the Gruppenkappen, you know, like the Nazi commander there, but we never got like the mad scientist exposition dialogue, you know. You Americans come to my lair, but there is no time to stop what the Fuhrer has created. We will live for 1,000 years.
Yeah, in fact, we barely got that at all from the captain, too.
Right. I mean, yeah,
he didn't even like.
He did it in
passing.
In passing, and like very very casually.
Yeah, it wasn't even a monologue. It was just like, oh, so we're gonna need like 1,000 year. For the 1,000-year Reich, we're going to need 1,000-year soldiers. Why do I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Who knows?
I don't know, but your German Nazi accent is way better than mine. Mine is up here.
I know nothing. Like,
see, if the Germans all talk like this, no one would have taken them seriously.
No, not a single one. But you know, it's like he barely says anything at all. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna need like. It's like, okay, so like what you're saying is we're going to create Nazi zombies and you're not even going to give a monologue. Like he doesn't even give him a monologue when he's beating the shit out of Ford, Wyatt Russell's character's ass.
Oh, like, you did remember his name.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, it just made me think of a car company. That's about it.
Yeah, he did have like the most American name ever, wasn't it? It was like...
It was Ford.
Yeah, but it was like Ford Man Strong.
Right. No, I thought Ford was his last name.
I thought Ford was his first name.
Either way, it just says Ford, because... according to IMDb, Jovan Apito, who I'm not going to lie to you for like a minute, I thought was John Boyega for a split second. And then I was like, no, that's not him. And then there's also the sergeant at the beginning.
Yeah, you said that when we first saw the trailer.
Yeah.
For this.
So, what? Which one?
That you thought Jovan...
Oh, yeah, it was John Boyega, yeah. I mean, whatever. He did a fine job, don't get me wrong.
I think he did a great job, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, like he's just listed as Boyce in IMDb.
Oh, you know who the Nazi captain was?
Who?
That's the guy from Game of Thrones. He plays the
what's his name?
He plays the oh dude, I don't know. Don't make me try this. Literally there's a letter in his name that I've never seen before. It's like an A and E had a baby, but that baby was a conjoined twin.
Who is he? He looks familiar.
Yeah, he's the guy that plays. He's what's the Kraken house on the Greyjoys? He's Euron Greyjoy. He's the Driftwood King. Euron Greyjoy. He's like he leads like the pirate reaver things. He had that dope axe in the last season.
Oh, was he like he's the crazy one?
Yeah, he partners with Cersei to like.
Oh yeah, he's the crazy nutso one. Yeah, yeah.
He has like dope axe.
I like him.
Yeah, me too.
He's funny.
He's got that axe
with
the Kraken.
Where he kills like all three of the I can't remember their actual names, but like the ninja girls, like one of them is one of them is Jennifer.
The Sand Snakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were terrible.
One thing I will have to give this movie though, it did give me a couple of jump scares.
Yeah, you suck at jump scares.
I do.
By the way.
I do.
You're
I'm
terrible.
You know, even if I knew they were coming, I don't know why. I knew like half of them were coming.
Nicole and I we watched so many fucking horror movies.
I know you do. I don't watch that many horror movies.
So many horror movies that like we went to go see the new Halloween movie in theater, and like jump scares that like legitimately other people in the crowd were like screamed a little and like jumped. Nicole and I like
pedestrian
like
it's how I am.
Amateurs. Like we were like the British guards in front of like the consulate building. We were just like a cow. Like my favorite Weird Al Yankovic line from any song that he did that's not a cover. And my mother looked at me like a cow looked at an oncoming train. Like just like that. Just like, oh really? Yeah, you suck at jump scares.
I do, but it's just kind of reminiscent of when the last Mortal Kombat game came out and I was showing some of my friends the fatalities. Like one of my friends, he was actually like screaming and wincing at some of them. Meanwhile, like I've been playing Mortal Kombat since I was like 3, so I'm like, yeah, that's pedestrian.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen better. And I'm also trying to think if there's anything else about this movie though that you know what scene was actually kind of crazy intense? The one where they try to bring their friend back from the dead. That was actually kind of a pivotal scene.
Yeah, that was a really pivotal scene. So we neglected to talk about this, but there's a scene where Boyce, Boyce, Boyce,
Yes.
Okay. So Boyce sneaks into the Nazi base, saves his Jewish soldier friend, brings them back to. I should know who that character's name is. I don't think it matters. Brings them back to the base. The dopey dude from the Midwest gets shot by Nazis and is dying, and they stab him with the serum, and he comes back to life and just goes fucking nutty.
Yeah.
Like,
the weird thing about that scene is it almost seemed like there was a disconnect between his brain and his body.
Yeah.
Like, he was, like, saying, what the fuck did you guys do to me? What the fuck did you guys do to me? As he's, like, throwing his friends around, like, taking down, you know, like...
That dude was also really stupid to begin with, so
yeah.
he was, like, the worst person that you could have given super soldier serum to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that dude was, like... He was the guy in your elementary school who was, like, eating paste and shoving crayons up his nose.
Right, exactly.
Like, definitely not.
They kind of established that early on where he's trying to take a picture when it's pitch
they're
black
like
on the behind enemy lines. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You got a searchlight on you.
Moron.
Yeah, exactly.
Moron. Dude was a moron.
And honestly, that scene, like right at the part where Boyce just bashes his head in, like that was like they showed teeth.
Yeah.
All over the floor. I was like, ugh.
I still didn't think that was gonna kill him. I feel like they played a little fast and loose on like what exactly kills.
Yeah, because like 10
zombies.
Because like 20 minutes later, Chloe shoots the female lead, the only female in this movie, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, she just shoots one of the...
He just unloads, like, 4 rounds.
Into the guy's dome.
Into his head, yeah.
And he gets straight into his brain, and he gets up. It's like, is this like the brain has to be completely and utterly destroyed? Like...
Yeah. Fireworks.
Yeah.
Fire always works.
Yeah.
Childs, get the flamethrower!
It's fucking fire. You know, shit, it kills him. It's fucking fire. Like...
But you know what I was just looking at, which is kind of impressive?
Well...
Actually, not kind of impressive. I would go ahead and say... Very impressive. So, the director of this movie, Julius Avery, this is like his first big movie. Like, really? He had one in 2014 called Son of a Gun that I've never heard of, but which, you know, from the synopsis, looks like a direct-to-Netflix kind of deal, and was probably only released in Australia, from what I can tell. But, like, I mean, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, like this was
a big movie. It looks like as far as the ratings are concerned, like it's got an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got Metacritic of around like 78%. IMDb has got it around like
a 6. It looks like.
Is it around a 6?
Hold on, let me double check this real quick.
So I mean, you're getting
it's got a 7.2.
7.2.
That's pretty good.
It's doing terribly at the box office right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look what else is out right now. We're also in the throes of Oscar season too.
We're in the throes of Oscar season, and we are kind of in like that weird in-between season where it's like movies that come out before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know, like there's that like your post-summer blockbuster before Thanksgiving kind of like what is this season?
Right, but...
Because then you do have like the blockbusters kind of return from like post Thanksgiving to Christmas, because then there's like people have lots of days off and people go to the movies more
and family stuff and everything like that.
Right. So this is like a very weird.
But I mean, like, look what, like, A Star Is Born is still in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, I actually saw
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody just came up, but I was about to say I saw A Star Is Born in theaters like 2 nights ago with my girlfriend, and like there was like for a movie that's been out for almost a month, like or around a month,
About a month.
there was still a good amount of people filling those seats.
Yeah.
There was. Still,
And you went on a weekday.
Yeah, we went on a weekend. We went on a Friday night.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean. But still, like, the point is, like, there's still a few people. I know people are going, like, crazy to go see Bohemian Rhapsody because it's fucking Queen.
I love Queen.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, which, by the way, you know what the funniest thing about that movie is I've learned? That Mike Myers is in that movie, and he plays the record executive telling them not to, that it's a bad idea to release the song Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's funny.
Oh, it's totally cyclical.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, overall, though, I'd say, like, this movie, like, oh, by the way, I feel like we should talk about Chloe just for a minute. Like, not a bad character. I was alright with her.
No, I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I thought she was great.
Yeah.
You know, she was. I mean, I kind of love the. I feel like they could have played up like, you know, the French Resistance kind of angle thing, but it made sense and it was nice to have. I mean, they always do that in these movies.
Yeah.
So okay, let me rephrase. They always play up like the French Resistance, like we hate the Nazis thing. But then there were people like in France that were just like trapped. Like they didn't have a French Resistance in their small town.
Do.
They had like nothing. They were like, well, the Nazis are here. They killed all the men. Like they'll kill me. They'll kill my little 8-year-old brother. Like I'm kind of stuck in this real shit situation.
Exactly.
So it was kind of refreshing to see her. Like I mean, she's like going around like literally scrounging for food and valuables like on the battlefield of like dead corpses, dead soldiers.
Which I mean,
and shit.
Kind of sucks.
Macabre, but like also
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then like the second that someone gives her an opportunity to put a gun in her hand and lob a couple grenades, like she's down.
like, fuck yeah.
She's down.
I'm like, okay.
And you could just tell you were like, that's like 10 full years of frustration just coming out right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of awesome. I think she did a really nice job. I like that character. It was weird. I thought the whole like end of that, but like between like the 6 characters, how we just kind of like went in and out of seeing them, you know, like. Mm-hmm. Like she was one character in particular who had like a big gap of time when she like ran out of the Nazi compound and like back to the town, where it felt like there had been like a good like 30 minutes in like the middle of this whole battle that she was just kind of like unaccounted for, and then just like showed up with a machine gun and just mowed down a bunch of dudes.
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay. Did you like stop for a cup of coffee along the way or
Right,
something?
exactly.
Like, where you been?
I mean, she's French, so she probably had to have a cigarette.
Right,
so.
yeah. Okay, that actually is something that really bugged me, is that nobody in this movie smoked.
Right. Well, I mean, there were a few things that we found to be historically inaccurate.
Like it felt like everybody that was supposed to be smoking was chewing gum instead.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, like, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Like, if this was like a PG-13 movie, maybe I could have swallowed that. This is an R-rated movie, so it's like, oh, so you're totally okay with like human like deformment, like experimentations on both the living and the dead, and you know, not like people getting their heads bashed in so there's teeth all over
it was,
the floor.
but it was like, I know that it was like common practice for like the military, like back in those days, like they pretty much force fed those guys cigarettes,
right?
Because nicotine's a stimulant,
right? Exactly,
and it keeps you up and it keeps you awake and it keeps you alert. Like
Yeah.
they didn't really, I mean, they didn't know that much,
Yeah.
and to care that much
Right.
about like the bad things about cigarettes. They're like, Lucky Strikes, it'll keep you awake. You know? Like
You'll put 10 Nazis in the ground with every single Lucky Strike you smoke.
Right. Nothing's better than after a long day of killing Nazis than relaxing with a camel. You know? like, that's just what they did. But it was like, there was like one Nazi who was like smoking. Like every time they panned him, like he was.
Yeah,
like,
they
smoking.
kind of do like
and
what
they only did like the bad guys smoke.
Yeah,
thing.
which was like a very Hollywood thing, which has become like a Hollywood thing, which I'm kind of like, no, like good guys smoke too. Shut the fuck up. Like,
everybody smoked. It
Yeah.
was World War II.
It was World War II.
There's so much archival, and this is not just from like popular culture. This is so much archival footage and photographs, and you see like guys at the Battle of Bastogne, and like there's like 15 guys in foxholes. And like,
with, like
they don't have food, they don't have socks,
but they
don't
got
have ammunition,
cigarettes.
But they got fucking cigarettes.
Right, exactly.
Like that's how many cigarettes they had.
Yeah,
like they
exactly.
could eat them.
Exactly. Like, and they all have like there's always like the ever classic shot of and we didn't get this, where there's always that one guy with the MG42, like as he's just like with like a cigarette just like hanging from his lips, like
Right. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's is there anything else we should touch upon with this movie?
I mean, we saw this movie on
Veterans Day.
On Veterans Day, which I guess is like the only note. I don't think this
and
is
the day after the.
I don't think this is a good Veterans Day movie.
No, not at all.
But like, it is just kind of one of those weird things where it was like, oh, World War II
on Veterans
movie
Day.
on Veterans
the
Day.
Also, the day after the Marines celebrate their birthday.
Right.
Yeah. So go figure.
I thought that was today.
No, that was yesterday.
It's November 10th. They celebrate their birthday, and then today. Oh well, hey, what do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
November, big month for the armed services.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
isn't there like another one coming up too, like in November? I mean, besides Thanksgiving.
I don't know.
Oh wait, no, Veterans Day and Armistice Day are the same thing.
Yeah, Veterans Day and Armistice Day are the same thing.
Yeah.
11th day, 11th hour of the 11th month.
Yeah.
Brought the end of the war to end all wars.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's where they signed the Treaty of Versailles.
Yeah. All right,
I have this like
there's history for you folks.
Yeah, I was gonna be a history teacher for a minute, and I spent a lot of time reading about World War II and this whole like time period. Like,
and then you realize that you would only be able to talk about World War II to your students.
I mean, usually I end up just like trapping people at a party and then talking to them about how like everything that ever went wrong with the world and society is, because of World War I and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and that if Archduke Franz Ferdinand hadn't been assassinated, we wouldn't be in this mess. But ain't nobody trying to hear that.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
It's all, pretty much everything is the fault of Gabriella Princip. It's that guy's fault.
Okay.
If you don't know who that guy is, go read a book, because everything that happened post-1914 is all his fault.
No, just at least read the Wikipedia. But at any rate.
That's a start.
That's a start.
You want to rate this?
Yeah, let's just rate this and get on the hell out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie like a 6.8.
You know what? I'm right around. I'm pretty much right there with you.
Yeah.
Like I would say I'll round it out to a 7.
Yeah.
Because I was entertained.
Yeah, I was entertained.
I got a high quality.
I'll give it a 7. Who am I kidding?
I got a high quality production value Nazi zombie movie. Mm-hmm. Right. I can find things to like cherry pick to complain about to stretch out a 1 hour long podcast.
Yeah.
But overall, like, I don't know that it's worth like the $18 price of admission to an ArcLight Hollywood movie theater.
Right.
If I was back home in Rhode Island and could have saw this for $10 on a Tuesday, I would have been much more happy.
Yeah.
But I'm not unhappy that I saw it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go with like a solid 7.
Solid 7.
Yeah.
And especially for like
first time director with a bunch of actors we've never.
I'm not first time director, but like first big budget, like first big distribution.
Right.
Like I'm gonna get that. That for me is definitely playing a factor. Like he controlled this movie very well.
Yeah.
And the sound design was incredible. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll give it a 7. Both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Dan, as always, thanks for being on the podcast.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and as always, follow me on Kyle Daley Comedy for both Twitter and Instagram. All right, everybody. Dan, once again, thank you for being on the show.
Yep.
All right, folks. See you next time. Bye.